Welcome to the Catch Up with Claire. I'm your host, Claire Hoon, and today we are catching up with Sarah. Sarah and I were psychology majors together in college, and I was so excited to catch up with her because we were on very similar career tracks until we weren't. Sarah is doing what I always thought I'd be doing. You're going to hear a lot about our career journeys, where life post-college took us, and how things are different in our lives than what we expected 10 to 15 years ago. It was really nice catching up with an old friend, and Sarah leaves us with some of her most basic tips for how she works with her patients and provides some very real takeaways we can apply to all of our lives. I hope you enjoy this catch up with Sarah. Sarah, welcome to the Catch Up with Claire.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that we're doing this. It's been a decade, maybe.
It's been a long time. I follow you on social media, so I've been seeing the highlight reel, but it's been a long time. Yeah.
Yes, follow you back. Okay, so just for audience members, Sarah and I went to college together. We were both psychology majors, so overlapped in several classes, courses, had I'd say a parallel friend group, but I've kind of, kept up through social media the past couple years. And I wanted to reach out to you because, well, one, we were on very parallel tracks in college, and then our careers went very different ways. You stuck with it, so I want to hear all about that. But I also want to hear about you're in DC now, right?
Yeah, in DC, loving it. I've been here for about 4 years, so it's starting to feel like home a bit more. Yeah.
So before we get into it, can you introduce yourself in your own words for listeners?
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Sarah Scalese. I'm a clinical psychologist working in DC, but I'm originally from the New Jersey area. That's really, really home for me. I work with young adults, mainly college students, 20 somethings. I'm working through all the things that come with that age group. And I love it. It's my life.
Okay, I had no idea you were from the New Jersey area. Why did I think you were from Louisiana or New
Yeah, I get
Orleans?
that a lot. I do get that a
Really?
lot. I think it's my cheery demeanor or something.
Yeah, I don't get like Northeast elitist vibes at all.
It's a compliment, I think.
Um,
Yes.
okay, so talk to me through, so how did you find Loyola from New Jersey then? Because I feel like everyone
Yeah.
from the Northeast ends up at Tulane.
Yes. That's a good question. So it was a summer in high school. I was just looking for something to do, and I had a cousin that was into outdoors, conservation kinds of things. So I
Hmm.
signed up for this program. It's called the Student Conservation Association. And basically, they send high school students to national parks all across the US. I ended up at a national forest in northern Louisiana, like outside of Shreveport.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, doing like trail work and like a lot of physical labor up there, but it was fantastic. It was really a good experience because I'd never really been to the South. It was a whole new world for me, but I loved it. And we had like a reward trip, so to speak, down to New Orleans for the weekend, and I
Oh.
was entranced. It just
Yes.
I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's just one of those cities where you just like feel a connection to it. Not everybody likes New Orleans, but I'm suspicious of those that don't because it's great. It really is.
100%. I remember, first of all, a service project over the summer in New Orleans or in Louisiana at all sounds so humid.
That's miserable. We're young.
But same, I wanted to go to California for college. I wanted to go to University of San Diego, another Jesuit school, but West Coast. My mom went to Loyola, and we didn't go to the same high school in St. Louis. Everyone kind of like follows where, you stay in the family. So I didn't go to her high school, and she was like determined to get me to her college. And she was like, if you go tour Loyola and tell me that you don't want to go there, I'll be fine with you going out to California. And I was like, that is the easiest deal I've
Yeah.
ever taken. Absolutely.
100%.
Take me down there. I'll take the tour. I'll play nice and then see ya in San Diego because that's where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how that story ended.
Lo and behold.
Lo and behold, Wolfpack.
Wolfpack. Yeah.
It does. It just like pulls you in. It's totally enchanting. I
Mhm.
feel like the feedback for people who say they don't like it is because they visited either on Mardi Gras in the French
Mhm.
Quarter, a
Mhm.
bachelorette or bachelor party in the French Quarter,
Gorgeous.
and they went there for 48 hours, did not leave the French Quarter, and
Mhm.
associate it with Bourbon Street and blacking out.
Yeah,
That's
just
what I
debauch.
think.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's so much more. So
So much more.
couldn't
So like if
resist.
you
Hmm.
can't resist, you have to leave the confines of the French Quarter and you have a totally different experience. And there's just such a charm about it that pulls you in.
Truly.
Okay,
How long did you stay after graduation?
a
Did you stick
year.
a year? I
Yeah,
was about
so Zach, yeah, so well, no, until January. So we graduated in May until January because
Mhm,
I moved. So Zach was graduated a year ahead. He
mhm.
stayed, and I got a job that did not work out.
As jobs rarely do. Yeah.
So and like he stayed, so I was like, okay, I'll stay because you stayed for me. And
Mhm.
I was scared to move to New York. It was like just never an option for me, it seemed like. He didn't want to
Yeah.
move back to St. Louis where I was from. I also didn't want to move back there.
Mhm,
And so I started working this job that was like not meant for me. Okay,
mhm.
side tangent. In college,
Mhm.
I worked at a bridal boutique and I was like, this is a dream. Like
Oh, you loved it.
working with I loved it. I was
Mhm.
like this I get paid to like look at bridal gowns, and like I worked on like the bridesmaid side, and so like
Oh,
helping people pick their
fun.
bridesmaid
People
dresses,
are
and oh, I loved
happy and excited to be there. That does sound
yeah.
nice.
And so I was like, I could just keep doing this. This is amazing. And my mom was
Mhm.
like, I didn't pay for you to go to college to work and sell bridal gowns. And so I like being on my feet. I like sales. Like I'll work with people. And Zach found this job at, I'm not going to name it, a car rental company. And it was like similar. And it was like similar. And so I was like, oh, I'll work with people. I don't have to like sit down and
Mhm.
like type at a computer all day.
Yeah.
Really sold me on it. Interviewed, got the job. What I did not put together at 22 years old was that people shopping for wedding gowns are like ready for the happiest day of their life.
Yeah.
People coming to rental car places is because they probably just got in a car accident or their car broke down. They
They're
are
stressed,
not
they're grumpy.
happy,
They don't want to be there. They don't want to spend money.
and
Different. Different skill set.
they especially don't want to be sold insurance packages to protect the car that they have to rent because the car that they own isn't working. Like it was such a learning
I'm sure
experience.
you learned a whole lot, but it wasn't fun, is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. It was the first time working in an all male environment, like going from like an all female environment where it was just like, yay, pretty vibes to like
Uh-huh.
men. I was like, you're not fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it kicked me in the butt. I ended up applying to graduate school in that time. So at first thought I was going to go back for Masters of Public
Yeah.
Health, and I
Hmm.
ended up applying. Zach was like, "Well, I've always wanted to move back to New York." So I applied to graduate schools. I knew I wanted to go back into private practice counseling, not go back into. I wanted to get into private practice. So I
Hmm.
looked at any K-CREP accredited program. St. John's in New York was
Yeah.
one of them. Applied, interviewed, went through the whole process, got in, and it
Hmm.
was like pretty quick. Like I didn't expect it to be. And I moved up to New York ahead of him in January because he was still looking for a job. So yeah, that's how I moved to New York.
That was the transition and then stayed ever since. All right.
Yeah, and stayed ever since. We never intended to. Like we were like, oh,
No,
we'll do
it's
like
you.
the 2 to 3 year young professional thing in the city. And then
Yeah.
we thought we were going to move back to New Orleans and get married and have kids in New
Hmm.
Orleans. I'm like trying to like piece this all back together now. Ooh, St. John's is like far out in Queens. Like this is how little I knew about New York City at the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound so dumb. I didn't even know about boroughs. I thought of New York City as
Oh,
Manhattan. Like
no.
I didn't know. And so we moved. For now, I feel like, oh my God, you little girl from the Midwest, you knew nothing. I
Hey.
didn't even know. So I was like, the school's in Queens, like that meant nothing to me. And then having to drive, like we lived in Astoria, which is in Queens, so I could drive to school because it was a night program. And I was associating moving to New York with like moving into the hustle and bustle of New York, like Manhattan.
The yellow
And so
taxi. It
all of it,
didn't feel like that.
very different, very different. It was such a culture shock that I was not expecting because I was working full time during the day, paying for living in New York City, then
Yeah.
driving out to Queens, like 40 minutes to school to go to school from 6 to 10 p.m., driving back, parking. I didn't know about alternate side parking.
The
And
burden,
then
like the psychological burden of it, of having to keep up with all of that. Yeah. Some tough
and so
years.
it was miserable, honestly. Like I
What
was
was
like,
this
I
was the first
cannot
half of the year?
Yeah, freezing. I had a dog too, so like I had to like figure out taking the dog out by myself. Like I lived alone until Zach moved up here. So it was all of this, like the culture shock. We moved from like New Orleans. Everyone said hi to you. Like people like look at you if you say hi to them here. It's like a safety concern. Yeah, exactly. Are you okay? So it was just a huge culture shock, and I was so ready to get out. Like, I could not wait to leave after I graduated. But I felt like it was because our friends who had moved here, they had jobs. Like, I had a job too, but I was paying for graduate school and for living in New York City. And so I didn't have, like, and then on weekends, I was doing all of my homework and
Yeah, you had
writing
no
case papers.
to enjoy New York, no money to enjoy New York. Yeah, so like all of the hard stuff without a lot of the reward, at least in those early years.
Totally. Yeah. And then and I was trying to figure out how to take as many classes as possible to get out as quickly as possible because it was supposed to be a 2.5 year program with a year of internship, and I made it a 2 year with a 1 year internship.
Awesome.
And so I finished all of my classes and just did my internship at the end, and we ended up moving into Manhattan after I had to stop commuting. And then when I finished all of that and fully graduated, we had like a year or so left on our lease. And I was like, I'm not going to get licensed yet because there's no state reciprocity. And we're not going to end up being in New York. I'll just keep my day job. When we move back to Louisiana, I'll get licensed, I'll pay all the fees, do it all. And then I got knocked up. And we're still here, and I never went back. You had a very different journey.
Yeah.
Did you go straight back to school or you stay talk to me?
Yeah, I guess. So I was always a psych major in undergrad. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think I like floated the idea of social work. My parents were very discouraging of that just because of the salary expectation. They
Yeah.
were sort of pushing me towards like OT, PT, that kind of stuff. So like always like clinical, like person facing things. But it wasn't until we had this class, it was like a practicum class, which is really unusual in college, but
Hmm.
I got placed at the Children's Hospital of New Orleans working in it was the adolescent inpatient unit. And I
Okay.
would just sit in on a psychologist there. She would do her sessions with the kids that were there. And it was a really incredible experience. It like truly changed my life. I just never really thought I would be smart enough to be a psychologist. Like, I don't think I really
Mm.
understood the steps that it took to do it, and just it didn't feel for me. But I think just the woman that I worked with was a really strong mentor, and just I couldn't have done it without her help and her advice and her guidance. And it really shaped me. So I loved it there. I ate it up. I would go in on days when it wasn't even my shift just because I wanted more and more. And then once I figured out, okay, like I wanna get my doctorate, I wanna be a psychologist, then the reality of that kind of hit home, just so competitive. And because I hadn't been so dead set on it from the beginning, I felt like a little bit behind on research things
Mm.
and some of the other just like resume building stuff that you need to make yourself competitive. So I ended up taking, I think it was maybe 2 years when it was all said and done, to do some research. I would just like cold call the departments of various hospitals and say like, I'm willing to work for free if you need someone to like do data entry and things like that, and just get more of that experience. I worked at a daycare during those years, just kind of hanging out, enjoying my time in New Orleans, and then applying for school programs. um
Getting a daycare is no joke. I mean
it was
that.
no joke. I loved it. I felt like a celebrity, just like all the kids know.
Yeah.
It's exhausting work. It's exhausting. You have to
I
be.
mean, I know, like I hand my children off in the morning. I mean, now the other two are in school, but like the youngest, I'm like, bless you. You better person than I am. I think it's so interesting what you said there because like it kind of resonated with me. I didn't think I was smart enough to go into this like super rigorous program, like how we disqualify ourselves without any basis for it. Like as you were talking, like I mean, I've been in therapy my whole life. And when I was like sort of playing around with what I want to do, at first it was I wanted to be an OBGYN, which I actually think is like really interesting now, given like
everything I've gone through in motherhood. And as soon as I got into Loyola, we were like taught I was going to be a biology major because we don't have pre-med. They didn't have pre-med. And I remember sitting down with whoever was, they're like, well, your math score is on your ACT. Like, we want to see him here. And sitting down with some professor being like, sure, you can do this, but it's a
Mhm.
lot of work. Like, it's going to be really hard, and you're going to have to take these really hard classes. And I was like, okay, well, like, never mind. Like, immediately, I was like, oh, okay, I'll do psychology because that's still in the sciences. But I think it was some chem class I didn't have to do. And I
Yeah.
kind of am annoyed about that because
Like, appreciate that they leveled with you, or like, did you feel like they discouraged it? Like, do you feel like
I
they could have approached it differently?
I mean, like, would I have been cut out for it? Probably not.
No.
Could I have been if someone had been like, oh, you got this? Like, you
Yeah.
should look into that. It was
Yeah.
very much a like, do you really want to work that hard? And I was like, I guess not. Like, no, let me take the easy way. Not that psych was easy. I mean, like,
No, no,
very
no. But like
different than like
different ways of using your brain.
totally. And I do think I am much more, my joke is higher EQ than IQ, but there is like a natural tendency for me towards the humanities in that
Yeah.
field. But it does, like, even with after a lot of people in my graduate program practiced for a year or two, they got their full licensure and boards. And then went back to PhD programs. And I kind of always wonder, I'm so interested in research, but I feel like the way it's talked about is that it's so hard and it's so rigorous and there's all these methodologies and like statistics and it's like, yeah, but like
Things.
someone's right,
Not you.
right. And so I wish that we like I'm so cognizant of how we talk to our kids about it now because the expectation shouldn't be that it's easy. It should be like we are going to figure these things out. So
Yeah.
you figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting you say that because I think like when I was waffling about what I wanted to do, I did have an advisor that looked me dead in the face and was sort of like, what do you want out of your life? And I think I was like 20 years old. I was like, I guess I want to like get married and have kids one day. And she was like, if you want to have kids, don't be a psychologist. Like being, an OT or a PT is the better path for you. And I was just like, hmm. And at the time I was like, oh, it was so cool that she just like told it to me straight. But then I like went off and like told the psychologist that I was working with and she was shook. She couldn't believe that an advisor would speak to a young female student like that. Just like let people figure it out. Just because you didn't do it doesn't mean that no one can do it.
I'm so curious about that too because like they're both patient based. They're both like I don't know. I feel like that's not even true. But I mean, like, again, like, why would you tell a young, I feel like it's like, yeah, why would you tell a young female that? Like, more than likely, marriage and kids are on your radar at 20 than they're not. And so it's like, why aren't we giving young women the tools that all of these things can exist? And no, it's never going to be a balanced way and then it's that it exists, but
Yeah.
you can want and have both. I don't know that. Ah, man.
Yeah, but it didn't stop me. So here we are. But yeah, it's something to just be so conscious with because people just speak. People just say things and they don't always think about the impact it has on, young, vulnerable students. Maybe not vulnerable, but like they just don't know. They're just trusting you. And it can have a lot of sway when you just say something offhand.
Well, and I think too, when you're 20, I feel like in college, like, you know enough to know, like, oh, I've had a little bit of freedom here at college. This is kind of fun. But in our 30s now, like, you just have so much more perspective. Like, you don't have the life perspective in your early 20s to be able to weigh these things meaningfully. Like, yeah, of course, looking back, I could be like, oh, well, whatever. It's going to take me years to figure out my career anyway.
Like
Why
the
not
time is
figure
gonna,
out the hard thing? Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you went back 2 years after,
Yeah, so it took 2 years because the application process is like pretty lengthy. So
and
took
did
two
you go
years.
straight into a PhD program?
Yeah. So a PsyD program is what I
PsyD.
did.
Okay.
And some people have their master's first. It's not uncommon. Maybe like half of my cohort had already gotten a master's. I think it can help you get in, can boost your application, but I just went straight on
Just went
it.
for it.
Yeah. And it was tough at first. Like I definitely felt like the students that had their masters were able to speak in classes and contribute in ways that were more difficult for me. Like they just sounded smart when they spoke. They just knew what to say and how to say it in a way that there was a little bit more of a learning curve. But eventually it evened out. You adjust.
How did you find the coursework? Like I loved graduate school because for the content, like core curriculum felt interesting. Like it all felt very like this is what I enjoy learning. I don't mind reading these 300-page textbooks every week because
Mhm.
I'm actually really curious about it and I enjoy this
Yeah.
content. And I feel like different than any schooling experience up to then, you do get to have these more sort of like philosophical conversations.
Same. Loved a lot of my classes. I think what's hard is just like the load itself can be quite suffocating. So it's almost like hard at times to like appreciate it and enjoy it and like
Mhm.
really be like, oh, like I'm learning, I'm like doing it because it's just so stressful. But yeah, yeah, it was the stuff that I loved.
I'm curious about your program too, because something that I really struggled with. So, like I say now, like, if I knew what I know now back then, I could absolutely figure out how to set up a private practice because it's not only the clinical skills you need to treat patients, you also need, if you want to be in private practice, you need to know how to run a business and attract patients.
Yeah,
No one,
yeah.
so they did, so that was
Marketing.
contracts, legal, like protective language, like all like HIPAA compliant, all of these things. Like, I don't know if you're like out of network or in network, but like the difference of like insurance and billing and all of this, like there was no business class to
Yeah.
my program, which I mean, most of us, a lot of us wanted to do private practice. I said from the very beginning, I always wanted to do private practice. And so, again, because I worked in the business world and in corporate America after a couple of years, I'm like, okay, now I know I could figure these things out. If I didn't have that exposure through my day job, there's no way I would have had the skills to run a
It's a
business.
oversight. It's a major oversight. But I guess with all of these programs, in order to be accredited, they have to teach X, Y, and Z. And like it just doesn't fall within what they have to teach. We would often have like guest lecturers come in that worked in private practice and would like give us little tidbits about the business on the other end of it. But yeah, you're kind of going in blind. You have to find somebody that will take you under their wing and sort of like show you the ropes of running a business if, you're not a self-starter too much. Yeah.
Is that like, how did you do? Because you have your own private practice now?
Working on it, working on it. So I guess if we rewind a little bit, I got my start working in university counseling center settings. So like I was at the University of Delaware, Rutgers, and then Georgetown, which is what brought me to DC. And then as I was working at Georgetown, somebody had reached out to me that I was a postdoc, had been a postdoc the year before me, had graduated, finished. And she was working at a private practice and just said, hey, if you're looking for some client hours and you want to learn how to do things, like come check out our office and we'd be happy to set you up with some clients to see at night for some extra money. And that's what I did. So I would work like 9 to 5 at Georgetown, and then I would, like get on the metro and go over to my office and see maybe like one or two other clients at night. And then like slowly through that, built a caseload, built a relationship with the owner of that practice. And then once I finished my postdoc, I started full time at the group practice where I'm currently at. And it's been a couple years now. I've learned so much. I've been so happy, but I'm getting the itch to kind of start my own thing and just, be an entrepreneur and be a business owner and do that. But I've been very happy. And without that itch, I could stay at this group practice forever.
I feel like something about group practice too that I didn't figure out because my internship was in a private practice is that it's very isolating too. Like if you're out on your own, like I was working in a day job where I had a team and then coming to my internship. So I did my internship in the afternoons. I had like afternoons 3 days a week and then all day on Friday and then Saturday hours too because I had to get the hours to graduate. I mean, another thing to talk about is burnout
Yeah.
because I was burning it. Uh,
Mhm.
but I would go and I'd have these cases and working with excuse me, these patients, and I'd want to like talk to someone about it. Like, this is what I'm seeing and this is what I'm picking up on. But like, and like I had my supervisor, she was also seeing patients, and we only had an hour of supervision a week, and I had a caseload of 10, which was a lot for me. And you just kind of have to, you bring it to class, but you have 20 other people in your class who also want to bring their experiences. And so I found sort of the expectations of private practice is, oh, you can like set your hours, you can set your like the type of clientele and niche you want to focus on, but you don't think about the downsides of like it's just you don't like who you have
Like,
to like really build up that network of like-minded practitioners to kind of talk with
talk
and
with, connect
share.
with. Yeah, yeah. You need to be self-assured. I think it's definitely hard when you're early career because little things will just like stick with you. Either like you'll be worried about a client or you'll be worried that like you did something that wasn't helpful. And I think that like if you're working with a bunch of other people, you can just like pop out of your office, consult with somebody for 5 minutes, and then you feel relief. You get what you need out of that. Like, no, I did do the right thing, or oh, I should follow up on this. It doesn't stick with you in the same way as when you don't get that. And then it weighs on you. And eventually you could talk about it or figure it out on your own, but it's just harder. It's just a little bit harder.
I'm curious if you can talk about, and I'm cognizant of the fact that you obviously are treating patients and seeing people from your own sort of managing your own burnout level. How do you manage? Because I remember being I felt so on, like the second I walked into my little room and shut the door and sat in that seat, I was like, you have 110% of me. I want to help you. You're, what you are locked in. And it took me
Mhm.
a while to realize how I would come home at the end of the day. I get home at like 10:30 at night because I worked late. And Zach would ask me something, and it was just like nothing computed. I was
Yeah,
in autopilot. Like,
you feel like a burnt piece of toast.
yes, yes. How do you manage that and keep yourself from getting to that point? How have you found ways to manage that to make it sustainable for you?
Difficult. And I think a lot of it is just knowing yourself and knowing how you operate. Like the benefit of being in private practice is that you can see less people and make up your own hours. So like for me, like I know that I can't see more than really 6 people in a day without feeling like oof, I'm losing my sharpness. You start to
Yeah.
you feel it a bit. I work better in the mornings, so I try and schedule that. I try and make sure that I've got breaks throughout. But I also know that like if I am seeing like 6+ clients on a given day, like, I'm not going to want to do anything at night. Like
Hmm.
I'm tapped. I've talked all day. I've listened all day. Like I just need to be a vegetable. And I don't have kids. Like I just have my little dog, so it's okay for now, but it can be a challenge. I think having other therapist friends is always helpful just to, be able to talk with people and relate with others and not feel so alone. But some days can be tougher than others. But then other times it's really energizing. And people say that like it's hardest to be a therapist when you're kind of like going through your own thing. Like if you have something going on in your life, it's hard to show up for others. But I also think that it can be really nice, like if you're having kind of a bleh day and then you like rock a session and you really help somebody, it's like I've got a great job. Like it's really rewarding in ways that it goes both ways, I suppose. So
I
still
think,
figuring it out. Yeah.
as we always are, but I think that's true. I feel so appreciative. Like I said, I've been in therapy my whole life. I've been with my current therapist for 7 years. Um, and yeah, it is a long time. I got a lot of work on, but I feel like so appreciative of the work that you do and that she does, and that like I think it's so hard to find a therapist, like a high quality therapist that you jive with. Like the persona perspective or aspect is so important, like that it's a right personality fit. I remember so vividly a handful of times people would come in for their first session and like we both just knew like we're not a good fit. And it's not like
Oh,
me, it's not them. But it's just like it's a hard, yeah, it's not personal. I'm not going to
mhm.
be what you need and
Yeah.
I'm not what you want. But I think like when you find that right fit and being able to stick with someone and really work through, like you said, like the reward aspect of that, it's like you just impacted someone's life. Like that is such a gift that you're giving your patients that you work with.
Truly an honor. Yeah, just like people tell you things they never told anybody. It's such a cool job in that way.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about, you know, burnt piece of toast and 6 year vegetable of the day. What is your,
Mhm.
are you taking 6 clients a day, or how do you manage your schedule to be like, these are my high client days, or my, like, I take a little bit of more of a break midweek? What does that look like for you?
It really varies. I'm in the office 3 days a week. And I would say at this point, I feel like my caseload's like 50% virtual, 50% in person. And like sometimes people, like if it's raining, just don't feel like coming in. So we'll do a virtual. But pretty much my in person days are stacked. And then like my Mondays are kind of light, my Fridays are kind of light. But some therapists are pretty strict about like, this is your slot. You come this time every week, same day, same time. It's yours. I'm a bit more flexible. I just, at the end of my sessions every week, I'm like, when should you come back? Let's look. So it just ebbs and it flows. Summer's light, fall's heavy. It's kind of nice in some ways because it's like, well, there'll be a break coming. It changes. So you have to be comfortable with that, I would say.
Do you see a pattern to, like, I posted a reel right before Thanksgiving of like, I got strep throat. And so I didn't go in person. I just took it virtually, but it was like Thanksgiving
Mhm.
week. And I like made a joke out of it of like, I'm traveling home to see family for Thanksgiving. I am not canceling therapy this week because family dynamics and all the things. Do you see patterns of like seasonal like that, of like holidays, or like, I don't know, just things that collective?
Oh, totally. Yes. Especially because I see a lot of college students. So, like, I
Okay.
know, the week of finals, the week before finals, cancellations left and right. You get that email at 3 a.m. that's like, is it okay if we reschedule? And, just try and roll with it because it's what you get. Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh.
Did you, when you were going back for school into the PsyD program, did you know that sort of young, college students, young people was the group and population you wanted to focus on? Or did that, like, what was your expectation versus how did you come to treating the population that you are now?
Great question. So, no. At first, I thought I wanted to work with kids because I'd been working at that daycare and I felt
That's
like,
right.
oh, I'm really good at this. But then at a certain point, I was like, you know what? I don't want to be like sitting on the floor all day, like in my like yoga pants. I like wanted something a little bit more like refined or something. Like I just been with kids for so long. I just like wanted to talk to other adults. So then I ended up at a placement. It was mostly older adults. So like 50 plus. It was interesting. It was interesting work. It was hard because that was my first clinical placement and they already maybe don't trust me because I'm, however many years their junior, but I'm insecure and fumbling and having like a little script for my sessions because I had no idea what I was doing just yet. And it was just incredible learning. But what was tough was just the fact that, like, so I'm a CBT therapist, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. I explain it like a triangle. The way that you think impacts the way that you feel and the way that you behave. So it's all about patterns and looking at thoughts and whether those thoughts are true. If they're true, are they 100% true? But, when people have lived their whole life a certain way, it can be really hard to make lasting change. It's just like the whole system is working against them. All of the dynamics are working against them. So then I was like, you know what? Like let's try meeting clients a little bit earlier in the trajectory of life and see what you can do. Because
Hmm.
changes you make in college can like really impact where you end up going. So that's kind of what drew me to college students. And then I was just like, oh, this feels so natural. It's just fun and casual
I
and yeah, just yeah.
There's so much I want to unpack from what you just said. One, about because I had a very similar experience in my first internship working with a population that was more towards like these and above. And I'm like, you could be my parent. Like the
Yeah.
last thing they wanted to do was open up about their problems to me justifiably. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I have to
I get
say, because of like code
it.
of ethics, like, I'm a student, I am an intern, like I am learning here. And they're like, yeah, what are you going to teach me? What are you going to help
Mhm.
me with? You
Yeah,
have
they
no
keep
life
coming back.
perspective.
They keep coming back.
There was
It's hard.
a 73-year-old man who we made it. We made it a full two
Uh-huh.
years. And I was like, yes, we did.
You figured it
We
out. Yeah, it's all
full
about
circle.
rapport.
Yeah. But I like what you just said about like bringing it back to like the earlier college. So my parents divorced when I was 5, and had a lot through that divorce. But we ended up having like court mandated therapy. And that therapist really helped me sort of like cope through childhood with a lot of stuff that was
Yeah.
going on. Then
Hmm.
she retired, and when I went to college, got a new therapist that I had found, or it was recommended to my mom somehow. And
Yeah.
she said something like, I swear, changed my life. And so I feel like
What is
you
this?
don't know. I don't know is an acceptable answer. Like, so simple.
Have the
Have it on a piece of
permission.
paper.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Resonated.
and I think even just going back to like, it was always this like, oh man, I could unpack so much here, but like the perfectionism tendencies, the must knowing to be ahead of like whatever could be coming. But when she said to me, I don't know, is a perfectly acceptable response and answer. It doesn't mean that you're not capable of knowing. It doesn't mean that you're not going to figure it out. It doesn't mean that you don't have the tools to communicate it. It just means you haven't thought about it. It's not a knock or something negative. And also, no is a complete sentence. She
Yes,
gave me
that one.
this like, and truly, it was like, it seems so benign. Like, of course, there are things we don't know, but it just never occurred because of everything I'd been through. Like, it just never occurred to me. Like, it was so, like, I was such a needing to know person.
Yeah.
It stuck with me, and it gave, like, that permission, as you just said, that she gave me to not know, gave me so much space to figure out everything else.
List things. Yeah.
This,
And I
yeah, that
think
I
like
just,
just I think like the ability to sit in uncertainty, the more comfortable you can get in that, the easier life is going to be. Yeah. Just not we
yeah,
can't have all the answers all the time. Like the just like yeah, it's just she didn't see anything groundbreaking, but it was groundbreaking to you. And it
totally.
heard.
That's what I think, like, I love so much about therapy, and why, like, someone the other day was like, wow, you're really open about, like, you going to therapy. And I was like, well, I am sending everybody to therapy. Like, you talk to me about it all day long. And, like, absolutely.
Did yeah, you'll learn
Yeah.
about yourself, look at patterns. Yeah.
I just think it's such a gift. And so, like, you don't know what you're giving someone. And so I feel like what you said about like you can really influence something for someone early on. I feel like especially in late teens, early 20s, there's so much transition going on in life. So
Mhm.
just being able to give something, one piece of something that becomes a solid foundation where there were cracks, like what a gift.
Yeah, very powerful. And I'm sure as she said that, she didn't know it was going to be as transformative as it was for you, but it's what you needed in that moment.
Have
Yeah,
actually
very cool stuff.
have you ever like patients that you worked with and had really, did really good work together? I'm guessing that like college is also probably transitional in terms of like you see them during the school year while they're local. How do you, I don't want to say break relationships, but how do you like come to terms with ending when you've had really meaningful work together, the close of a relationship like that?
It can be sad. It can be sad, but it's also an opportunity for a lot of healing because I think that, in life, we don't always get the opportunity to like have a goodbye, like a healthy goodbye in that kind of way where it's planned, it's intentional. Both parties have an opportunity to talk about what the experience was like for them and reflect on the growth that I've seen that they've felt.
Do you
But I think
ever
what's
find
hard
your,
with go on.
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, do you ever find yourself like thinking back on like wondering like where are people now or how does I don't know.
Yes, all the time. And I will often get like a one-off email from somebody that like I saw years ago being like, just wanted to let you know I'm doing this now, I'm doing well, or like also people circle back for therapy after
Yeah,
taking a break for years, or they move back. So sometimes like it's a door firmly shutting, especially with like licensure things. But now I'm
sure.
SciPac licensed, which means 40 states, which is really helpful. So yeah, you never know. Like I'm always here for people. It doesn't need to be door shut and locked. which is nice.
That only popped into my brain because like several times it's popped into my brain to be like, I should send this woman an email because we worked together while I was in college. And at the time, Zach and I were just dating and we're trying to figure out like, are we gonna move to somewhere together after school? Like we're not engaged or married. Like how do we figure out going from a college relationship to the next phase of life together when we want different things? And so she like worked on like we like had conversations about that and stuff. Um and then obviously we ended up getting married and having 3 kids. So I've always been like, I wonder,
It's not weird at
maybe I
all.
will.
I think it makes my days. Yeah, why not?
Maybe it'll inspire me. Yeah.
Mhm.
um okay, talk to me about life outside of being a therapist and working with the young adults that you do. You're living in DC for 4 years now.
Yeah,
Talk to me about
living in DC.
moving to DC, all the things.
Yeah, so as I maybe had mentioned before, it was a match process. I didn't think that I was going to end up in DC. It was never the dream. I wanted to be in California, sunny California, but this is how the cards were dealt. And it was a little tough at first because I had been living in Philadelphia. My family is in that area. I had a boyfriend, I had a life, and I had a couple friends in DC, not many. It was also the tail end of the pandemic, so like stuff was still partially shut down. I rented an apartment sight unseen. That was a little tough, maybe not like the area I would have chosen. So it was a tough start. It was a tough year. But I think with that, I became really intentional about building community. I got on Bumble BFF and I was going on friend dates left and right. And some of them were duds, but I made some really, really good friends that I'm still in touch with now. I've gone to their weddings. So just a lot of putting myself out there, like intramural sports and classes. It was taxing, but I needed to do it. And now I have such a large community in DC. I can't see myself leaving because I'm so enmeshed here. It's something I'm really proud about because I'm not a particularly outgoing person. I would walk home from work and I would pass these like restaurants and bars and there'd be groups of people all like hanging out and having fun. And I was like, I want that. I need that here. And now I have it. So that's great. Yeah. And like
That's
through
incredible.
some Thank you. And I recommend everybody do it. Like the Bumble BFF thing, I think feels weird. People feel some kind of way about it. It's odd, but you gotta get creative. You do.
I mean, honestly, I'll share transparently just this week in therapy, my therapist was saying how like maybe we're going to make friendship a theme of 2026 because I am part of honestly starting this podcast and my social media account is craving connection. I have a close group of friends from college. None of us live in the same city or state. And so we see each other maybe twice a year. I mean, I am not a phone talker, but also like I
No,
have 3 kids. When
maybe.
am I going to pick up the phone and talk to someone? And
Yeah,
I mean,
sure. But
I hate that too. And like I want to keep up with everyone, but I also we actually went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras this year. We brought the kids down there. I was still pregnant. It was like our last little family getaway before having our third baby. And one morning we went over to City Park with me and like 4 other girls we went to college with. They all brought their kids, some of Zach's friends and their wives and babies. Everyone came. And Sarah, I can't tell you like how comforting and at home it was. It was so nice to
I
have like a level of familiarity. Like these were like pledge class sisters. They were also just like friends. We all knew each other, but had only kept up really like through social media, hadn't seen in person in years, definitely not since pre-pandemic. Meanwhile, used to like dance on the pool table at F&Ms together. And now we all, yeah, how times have changed. And now we had kids ranging from 7 to like babies to like being pregnant. And we're having conversations catching up. Meanwhile, our kids are chasing each other around the playground. Like some were like throwing tantrums and like no one was even noticing. Like it was just so nice to be able to be like, okay, our kids are entertained. We're able to have conversations and catch up. I've started to meet mom friends in New York, but it's very hard to meet mom friends that like our kids are also friends. And then like
Yeah.
you don't have that
Like
history.
just
So it's like
all of the pieces
everything
that need
was
to
just
fall.
clicky. And it just made me realize I need to somehow create this where we are. And like we always like play around like if we moved back to New Orleans, we would have this. Like, okay, that's a big if. Like that's not really like in the cards for us. It's like we've talked about it, but it's like our fantasy life, not our real life. Like we're committed to New
Yeah.
York. And so creating a village where we are. And so just what you said about like being so intentional. And I had another friend on who moved out to Long Island when she was pregnant and like was very intentional, similar to like how you just described. Like, no, I had to try. Like, it felt very
Mhm.
foreign to me, but I knew I had to do this. Like, you guys are inspiring me, and I'm still like,
You
I
can
can do
do
it.
it.
I can do it. It's hard
Because it just doesn't
though.
happen naturally. It just doesn't happen in the way it does in college or school when you're in proximity with people. Yeah, but with effort, it'll happen. And your life is so much better
It's
for it.
Oh, totally, totally. Like when you
Mhm.
can just vent to a girlfriend, like there's like you need that. Like no, I'm a firm believer of like we need our girls. It's just like
Mhm.
it's hard. You have to someone said like you have to be a villager in order to like you have to
Yes,
be
I
like put
love
in the
that.
work. Yeah. Okay. I'm
So,
gonna do it.
2020.
It's on the
Yeah.
2026. I've got four
Mhm.
more weeks of like mentally preparing myself. I'm gonna do it. Um
But
Okay,
yeah.
I heard you say when you were in Philly, you were dating someone. You also said earlier on, like going through this career counseling at Loyola, marriage and kids were on your mind. How do you think about these two things now? Like, where are those in your life, if at all,
Yeah.
if you're comfortable sharing?
Nice. Yeah, I'll share a little. That advisor way back when, I mean, she had a point in that, to get this degree, you have to move a couple different times. Like, you might have to move for the program itself. You have to do a 1 year full-time internship somewhere that's a match. So you might have to move somewhere you're not anticipating. You have to move again for your postdoc potentially. So it was three separate moves for me. And it can just be hard to maintain a relationship through that. And, at various points in time, you kind of have to decide like, do I go for the training experience that is the best fit for my professional goals, or do I prioritize a site that would mean I can stay here with this person I'm dating? So it puts a little extra pressure on it. And that relationship just didn't end up being able to withstand the many changes. But I have a boyfriend now that I met through some of the mutual friends that I had built here, and I'm thinking about sticking around DC. So I feel optimistic and ready to put roots down after so much instability through it all. And
I'm
I
sure.
guess when it comes to kids, a lot of people close to me are starting to get pregnant, and I think it maybe came a little later for me than it did for many other people, but it's certainly like on my mind. It was always sort of like the assumption, as I said earlier, like, yes, this is what we do. You grow up, you get married, you have kids. As I'm getting older, it's getting a little scarier, I think, just in terms of like, am I ready for my life to change on such a cellular level? There's so much stuff I want to do. And like, is it compatible with that? And just not quality of life, but like day to day stuff, all of it feels like, oh, this could be coming soon. Am I ready? I don't know.
Oh, I resonate with that 1,000%. Quality of life is the right is the right word. Trust. I was gonna post a very raw reel today, and my husband was like, "Maybe you just want to like sit on that," and I was like, "No, I mean it." It's and I honestly, we talk about all the time. I'm overcoming being a type A person and letting go of some of those perfectionism tendencies. I think that's why I struggled so much in motherhood. I've talked about before, it was very much a surprise pregnancy. We were not planning for it. I don't know if I would have gotten to a point ever if it hadn't happened how it did because of everything you just talked about. I don't feel at all qualified to be the mother of three people every day. And like, what do I do with I mean, I'll just we had a tough morning in the Hoon household. I just like always think about like people like joke like, oh, there's no playbook in parenthood. I'm like, but why? Like, I need someone right now. Like, your child is upset, and you have you have to get to work, they have to get to school, they also need to be wearing clothes, they also need to be fed, like you also have two other children who also have all of those needs. You as a human also need to eat and be fed and get to the work, like to your job,
Well, there.
like it's just this like, whew, I mean, I can feel my heart racing again. Yeah, I can understand why. And I've had someone say before, like, "Oh, we're thinking about having kids, and like you're kind of scaring me." I'm like, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I just, no one prepared me. No one was talking to me about like, it sounds so dumb to say, like, oh, you have a baby, not like what it's like to have a kid and parent. And and so like, I think because we're so connected these days, there's like through social media and through the internet and all, like everything, like we have so much information. And yeah, of course, you figure it out. And I also want to be
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's such joy. Like there is so much love like that. I feel like the need someone's going to yell at me for saying all this, but
Oh
like
no.
there's a
Yeah.
lot to weigh and to consider too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because how old were you when you had your first?
I was 25 when I got pregnant, and I had just
Mhm.
turned 26 when he was born,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
felt like I was 17. Yeah, I felt like a
Yeah. I
teenager.
still feel like I'm 17. Yeah. I feel like that all the time. Were you one of the first of your friends to get pregnant, or did you have like friends that you could talk to about it?
No, I knew no one. And it wasn't even until my daughter, who was born 3.5 years later, was born, like, were anyone even getting pregnant? Like, no one in, and I feel
It's
like,
hard.
especially in, it was really hard. It was really hard being like, I didn't have anyone to go to other than the internet. And because I didn't know anyone in New York. Like I had finished graduate school and got pregnant 4 months later. I didn't have a friend group here. I didn't know anyone who had kids. Like everyone when you're 25 in New York, you are partying. Like you are having the time
Yeah.
of your life. You're getting your first promotion from your job, so you're making a little bit more money that you can like go do your trips. You can go do, the club scene. You can go
Espresso
party. Yes.
martini.
Yeah, you're like living life. And that's what I thought we
Mhm.
would be doing. Like we were like, we're going to stay in New York for 1 year after school so we can enjoy, and then we'll move back to New Orleans or wherever we decide, but for us it was going to be New Orleans, and like figure out starting a family, and like I'll get licensed and all, and that just like isn't, it took me by such surprise. And so I feel like I missed out on some of those like fun post college years because I went straight into graduate school and then straight into getting pregnant and then straight into depression. And then into the pandemic and another pregnancy, life just kind of happened. And so I feel like now in my 30s, like I have all of this perspective of like, I learned a lot, I went through a lot, but now I want to like reclaim the fun again. And I do feel like investing in, like, again, I still have like my core girlfriends from college, but like I feel like I have the space a little bit now to invest in the friendships.
I think that like it's so valid for you to be sad for those years of like being in your 20s in New York, but also remembering that like it's not all fun. It's there's like drama amongst friends and like you're getting your heart broken and you're like still young, so your emotions are dysregulated. It's great in some ways, but it's so hard in other ways. I think probably in the same way that like being a young mom, beautiful moments, but also really tough, really unglamorous moments too. It's like, grass is always greener kind of thing.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just gonna say, like, what is our human condition to have like grass is always greener?
Is
It
what
is
it
what it
is. We always
is.
want what we can.
Exactly. Well, Sarah, this has been such a lovely conversation. Is there anything we haven't caught up about?
So, I mean, we've really covered the bases,
And I
I'd
feel
say.
like we'll figure it out as soon as we hang up. But regardless, I'm so glad we got to catch up today. Thank you for being so open and sharing about your journey. Like I said, it was kind of a trajectory I always expected, and then life took another turn. I'm so impressed. Every time you post, I'm like, this is good. This is good. Share what it
Oh, thank you. I think it's such a great platform to be able to reach people. So I'm trying, getting myself out there.
I feel like it's just nice because there's something about, especially like the psychoeducation you did around the triangle. I love that. Like, I love little tips that, like, they feel digestible, they feel easy to remember. There's a visual reference. Like, I know it's work because I put stuff on Instagram too, and your visuals are beautiful, but like it's appreciated. And I feel like that's a really mass way. Like you help people individually in your sessions all day, but like in order to like reach more of an audience, I so appreciate providers that find the time to give some of their skill set to the general public.
That's the hope. So thank you for encouraging me.
Hilltop
So it's
cognitive.
Hilltop Cognitive Therapy. So it's a little nod to Georgetown, the neighborhood of Georgetown. They call it Hilltop kind of casually. And it's what brought me to DC. So that's what I'm going for, just progress onwards and upwards. And yeah,
I
that
love
will
it.
be the name of my practice once I go out on my own in the next couple months. Yeah. So shoot me a follow to all the listeners. Working to
Love it. And I'm following along, and I can't wait to have you back once your private practice is up and established and tell me all about the process of getting that stood up. It's going to be great.
I'll have a lot to say, I'm sure. So thank you so much. It's been so fun. It's been such a pleasure. I appreciate it.
It's been fun for me. All right. Good chatting with you, Sarah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Catch Up with Claire. If you did, I would so appreciate if you subscribe, follow, rate, and comment wherever you're listening from. Share it with someone else you think might enjoy listening. This is how I can continue to have these conversations and bring these conversations to you. Until next time, be kind, be brave, and be safe out there.